How did we start these before?
I have no idea. It's been 84 years.
84 years, really, that we've been doing that. You weren't even born 84. Wait, I wasn't born 84 years ago. Anyways, this is how we're going to do a movie review from here on out. This is the way. Wait, this isn't Mandalorian.
It's still got Pedro Pascal in it, though.
Oh, fantastic. Sure.
What's going on, guys? We're the Cinefanatics. My name is Chris Adams.
I'm Robert Adams.
And you're watching, if you couldn't figure it out, which I bet you couldn't, we're doing a review of an actual brand new movie that we should have seen months, if not a year ago. Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah. So this movie came out. I think we're gonna kind of
Came out.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of skip over like a lot of this long discussion in regards to our personal opinion of like should this movie be seen in a theater, HBO Max, and that whole yada yada stuff. That was something we discussed on the Tagline Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. Central Time.
Oh.
Join us for that.
Nice plug.
We talk about stuff like that on there.
Great plug.
So real quick, just brief mention of this.
That's pro YouTuber stuff.
Yeah, it is. Stepping up that YouTube game. Go ahead and hit a like and subscribe to this channel if you would like. Also,
And they just hit dislike.
fantastic.
Cool.
Anyways, so yeah, because of this whole pandemic thing, this movie was released on HBO Max at the same time that it was pushed into theaters that could play movies because Patty Jenkins wanted it that way. So, yeah.
I think Warner Bros. Wanted it that way, too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody did because that gets the most money, but
Yeah.
I mean, I bet it did a lot of good work for HBO Max.
Probably.
Especially since they got it approved to be on Roku. But anyways.
Anyway, so yeah, we're here basically just to review this movie, talk about it, kind of give you some insight. This review is going to be slightly spoilerish. There's a couple things we want to touch on that are better saved for if you really like deeply care about the character of Wonder Woman and want to see these things for the first time watching the movie. We're not really going to... This probably wouldn't be the review for you if that's the case, is what I'm saying. We're going to touch on those a little bit later. Maybe I give them a heads up before we say anything about it. I don't know.
At least for maybe like that one. Checking the notes.
Gotcha. Yep.
Pro YouTuber stuff right there.
Pro YouTuber stuff. That's what we are here. Anyway, I think off the top, you know, what's one thing we talk about? We talk about the characters, talk about the story. Let's go with the story. That's kind of just the basic. Look, again, we haven't done this in a while. It's like...
we gotta get into that review rust. We gotta shake that off real quick.
That review rhythm?
That too. Yeah. So story for this, I think that's probably like gonna be the first and foremost what anyone's really gonna want to know about this movie.
Yeah.
And so we're coming off of the first Wonder Woman movie, which had a really good story. A lot of people tend to agree that the third act, or at least that final showdown with Ares, is a little but otherwise the movie is very well done.
Yeah,
there's some beautiful shots.
Yeah, I liked it. I was frustrated with the Ares battle as well, and just kind of the whole direction they really went with his character. And so, you know, there's your baseline as to where we're coming from. Liked the first one. The final battle was kind of rough. But this one, the story wasn't as cohesive, it seems. This one kind of felt like it was just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it took a while to really... I mean, you got essentially you have this MacGuffin of this, like, stone, which, once again, we have this... the storyline of using some kind of ancient item that has some kind of, like, curse on it that can cause some kind of supernatural something, another, yada, yada, yada. But we had this stone that grants wish fulfillment, and that's what's really driving the plot of this movie, where everyone's like ultimate wish that they want could potentially come true.
Yeah. And then that, you know, jumping into maybe some of the spoilery details here as to how that works, that's kind of how we get the return of Steve Trevor here.
Yeah.
And then that's also how you get Barbara, Kristen Wiig's character, turning into Cheetah, or Pedro Pascal's character, Maxwell Lord, kind of getting what he wants. What did he want?
He was like your very stereotypical businessman who just wants to have more power, more control, more money.
I guess.
I mean, there's more to it than that, but again, I'm just keeping it kind of like vague as to exactly what happened, just so we don't ruin this whole entire movie for you. But yeah, just Some of that was really weird, and yeah, there was a lot of disconnection in some of the ideas as it moved from scene to scene. Because it kind of felt like in some places it was really slow and drawn out, and then some of them were just really quickly hit these beats and move on.
It's a situation where, okay, so the movie's runtime is about 2.5 hours, which for some movies is really quick, you know?
Yeah.
Other movies, however, unless it's actually hitting certain beats at proper timing, can feel really slow. For this movie, the situation was that it felt really drawn out as a whole, but all of the stuff with, like, the characters, where they're at, why they're doing the things they're doing, what they want to do, just quickly, like, sped through. Mm-hmm. Like, who is Maxwell Lord? Oh, he's a businessman. Move on. He just wants to do things. Move on.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool, but I want to know more about him as a character, and I don't feel like we got that. I feel like in that regard, his character was kind of paper thin, whereas you had someone like Barbara. They did spend a little more time on her. Barbara Minerva, Kristen Wiig's character, they dived in a little bit more to her character, gave her more time to develop her personality, so to speak, and so you got to feel for her character, I guess, a little bit more. And I would say you felt a little bit for Maxwell Lord, too. I mean, they did a good job of essentially making both of the villains in the movie sympathetic characters. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of where I feel like the good stuff ends. Not to say that Kristen Wiig didn't kill it. Kristen Wiig is probably the highlight in this movie.
Especially coming from a comedic background.
Yeah.
Coming from a comedic background and being essentially a supervillain. That's not a spoiler. Y'all could tell that from the trailer.
Yeah.
But being a supervillain for this movie, that's quite a huge 180 on what we're used to seeing from her.
Yeah.
And I think she did a phenomenal job in this.
Yeah, I really do. I really do think like she is the highlight of the movie. Outside, of course, of Wonder Woman herself. It's always fun watching her in the action sequences, being that iconic character that everybody loves, and just seeing that kind of stuff. But what I feel like is that this movie didn't supply enough of those iconic action sequences that we would want out of Wonder Woman. There was a fun little bit in the mall at the beginning, and then there was the final battle, and there wasn't a whole lot in between.
And there was that one like in Cairo, which
there was that section in Cairo too. Yeah, but the problem is that I don't feel like we got enough of the full on like super powered superhero action that we come to a lot of these movies expecting.
There was a lot of story in there, and seeing like how these characters are interacting with this world.
Yeah.
Whether it's like Diana and Steve interacting with one another, Steve interacting with 1984. Which some of that there was a decent amount of humor. I like the dynamic in this one. That in the first one it was Diana that was the fish out of water, and now we flipped it. Now it's Steve as the fish out of water.
That was good. That was good stuff. Yeah,
that was a good idea on that part. Just again going back to the whole overall reason why Steve is brought back. Just okay.
The reason and then how they did it. Like it wasn't necessarily really just Steve. There was
just weird.
There was more to it than that, and it just kind of felt, really? That's okay.
That's the explanation. Okay.
I guess. It doesn't make any sense, and we're not going to explain it, but okay.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of the feeling for a lot of this movie. A lot of this was, that doesn't really make any sense, and you're not really going to take the time to explain it. We're just going to go, okay, this happens, and we just have to be okay with it happening.
There was a couple of things in there that it was like either there was a quick throwaway line that you really had to have noticed them saying it, because that's what like kind of ties it in. If you didn't catch that line, then you might figure out later on what exactly is happening. You're like, oh, that's right. It's because this happens when that happens. Yeah. And okay, got it. But like a lot of it is just like real quick, again, rapid fire. Yeah, it's just really hard to like. I don't think I had a hard time understanding this movie. It was just like trying to understand why this movie needs to be understood. I'd say is like my existential crisis with this movie.
You're having an existential crisis?
Oh, wait till we review Soul here in a little bit.
Oh, right. The thing about this movie, and I'll kind of summarize a lot of it this way, is that there didn't seem to be a reason as to why necessarily this story in Wonder Woman's life needed to be told. It didn't feel like it was a story that, to put it lightly, was worth a movie. It felt more like a animated show. Like I would expect something from like a Wonder Woman cartoon or something. Like this would be a storyline that would work in that. in like a 3-episode arc or something, not necessarily in a movie, because it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of stakes. What I did feel like was that everything was in turmoil at one point, and it just kind of was, and we just expected that, well, everything's going to get better because Wonder Woman's just going to save the day.
I'd say overall, we're being pretty negative so far.
Yeah.
This was a fun movie.
At the very least, well,
It was a fun movie to watch.
it was a fun movie for the first hour and a half for me, and then at some point I was like, okay, moving on. Yeah, I am going to be negative because I didn't completely like this movie.
Oh.
There were a couple things, though, that I did like. There was the point where she was learning how to fly, and then that was springboarded off of the fact that she had the invisible jet. It was more of a Steve Trevor's flying the jet, and they needed to go undercover, and so she's like, oh yeah, I have this power that I can do. Invisible.
So, quick side note, I'm not a huge fan of that idea. I just thought it was kind of like forced in, but I get why it's in there. I mean, I guess overall it's cute that they put that in there. Nice little nod to the comics and cartoon and stuff, but I was like, I would have been okay if they didn't put anything like that and just left that alone.
And then seeing hey, can't Wonder Woman fly? Yeah, she learns how to fly. And that was a neat moment too, and kind of a really cool breakthrough moment for the character itself. I think overall, like, it was fine. It was.
I'll definitely watch it again.
I might.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fine. I'm not too like huge on the rating. I think maybe I'll give it a pretty middle of the road, honestly, because there were some fun stuff in it. There were some like cute little fun scenes, and some the action scenes that were there were good. Were pretty gut punchy and everything, but for the most part, I think I'm like right middle of the road. I'm like 5 out of 10 on this.
Yeah, I did think it was fun. It was definitely, and it's weird. I'm gonna compare like what I mean by fun, as in, and I'm not comparing this to Suicide Squad, but like I kind of view Suicide Squad as a fun movie as well. Not the same kind of movie, but it's still in a general fun category.
It's brainless fun.
Yeah, kind of. So I mean, I'll put this up there like a little bit higher just because of the funness of it. I'll put it up there like I'll say 6. I'll give it 6.
He's just so afraid to hate things.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if you've got HBO Max right now, it's free for you to check out
for the next 31 days.
For the next 31 days, you don't actually have to run to a theater if you don't want to. So it's available for you. If you have not watched it yet, you know, some of the stuff we said might have spoiled a little bit for you, but otherwise, feel free to check it out if you've got HBO Max. If not, jump on there. You can't do the free trial, but jump on there, sign up for like a month.
Yeah, HBO Max is easily one of my favorites of the streaming networks right now just because of all the stuff that they have on there.
Yeah.
They've curated a lot of really good movies, older and newer ones, stuff that people would actually want to watch and not some random out of nowhere movie that other streaming platforms might do. Netflix. Anyways.
This video not sponsored by Netflix.
So... yeah, definitely, like, getting HBO Max is definitely worth the cost of it, easily.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Highly recommend that. And I would also recommend, if you have the ability, if you want to, go check this movie out in a theater. There was definitely some really good shots that I was like, yeah, that looks good on a big screen.
But just be forewarned, if you trust our opinion, the money might be a thing for you. Either way, though, yeah, the Cinefanatics final review score of this is pretty middle of the road. We obviously don't want to hate on DC movies. It's not the point. It's just that
I love DC Comics.
Well, again, Wonder Woman's an iconic character. I just expected more from this movie.
Yeah. Especially after how good the first one was.
Yeah.
This one wasn't anywhere near as good as the first one.
I definitely like the first one better.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for this review. What did you think of this movie? Make sure to let us know down below. Again, do those YouTube things like clicking the like and the subscribe and the bell and the whatever these other things over here off to the side.
And if you're a DC fanboy, just go ahead and hit that dislike now. It's fine. We don't care.
That's what we're used to here.
We get it.
Yeah. Whatever. Thank you for watching.
You're welcome to watch our videos anytime. We're okay with it.
Anyways, make sure you click subscribe up here above my head. Over here off to the side are a couple other videos that we have made. And as always, man, we haven't done this in a while.
I don't know. I was going to do the Wonder Woman theme there.
Nope, they turned off. Later.
See ya.